The first road course race of the season makes its route to upstate New York and Watkins Glen, where tonight, live from the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit, we welcome you to race number 4 in Season 5 of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series and our continuing coverage through 2022 and 2023 right here on MaxSpeedTV, where alongside in the booth, Francisco Bacalhau, my name is Kenneth Bueno, and Francisco. We have finally reached our first left and right hand course of the season. We've seen a lot of different types of ovals, whether it comes from Daytona, Michigan, the 2-mile D-shaped oval, Nashville Superspeedway, which tested a majority of the field, and now we've got our first test of what it's like to go road racing. And in previous history, Francisco, I think one thing has been for certain: road courses have been the bread and butter of the field. We've seen so many great races, so many great finishes, and it looks like Watkins Glen may not be any different for Season 5.
And that is definitely true with this next-gen car. Every on road courses last season brought entertainment value to the spectators out there watching on YouTube. It was a stark contrast to the Gen 6. A lot of the Gen 6 era, you saw field spread, you saw guys that were very dominant, and a lot of guys at the front of the field that were usually showing up every single time, like Brian Smith, to name one. He was usually one of the dominant guys at every road course. But since this next-gen car has been used, Lawson Peel, Austin Reedy, just to name a couple, Lance Hill, there's usually a rotation of guys that tend to show up, and there's not really a specific one that you can pick out and say he has been the best in every single road course race. So going into this race today, it's going to be interesting to see who shows up with long run pace. You know, these tires don't really fall off, so it comes down to who can put down the consistent laps between now and the halfway point, because, you know, very quickly here, Kenneth, before I toss it back to you, we do have a halfway caution. Last season, if you remember, there was an issue middle of the race with iRacing and the servers, which caused a couple of people to lose connections. This has nothing to do with that, but it is a halfway caution to kind of bunch the field back up and give everybody an opportunity.
It's going to open things up for strategy as well as you take a look at our Season 5 schedule. Of course, knock down the first handful from Daytona all the way to Nashville Superspeedway, where we saw Steven Stempien get his first career 4 Wide Racing Cup Series victory. That was a huge milestone for him. It was the first 3. We've had 3 different winners, and it looks like you said, Francisco, the door's been wide open for a lot of these road course races just because these next-gen cars are so similar in nature, because they really even the field up. And that means that although we do have our strong drivers in the field that we could see as favorites for the win, you never quite know what's going to happen until that checkered flag flies. Of course, we do have Las Vegas 1 week from tonight, back to the 1.5-mile oval. Then we take a 2-week break for the holiday break for Christmas, and then we return in the new year 2023 at Road America. So back again at the road course racing. Can't get enough of it in that first half of this 4 Wide Racing Cup Series regular season. So just before we get into the details of what we're going to find here from Watkins Glen in terms of the race itself, Francisco, we do have to talk about the stage that we have set. Watkins Glen, New York. This track has been featured on the NASCAR schedule for a very long time, and in a stint in NASCAR history where it looked like that track and Sonoma were the only road courses NASCAR would face in the entire year. They didn't have any Roval, they didn't have any Road America, they didn't have any Circuit of the Americas. They only had Watkins Glen and Sonoma. This 2.450 mile, 3.943 kilometer road course that opened all the way back in 1956 is so fast, and much like a lot of the other road courses, just provides each a unique challenge for everybody on track.
Yeah, Watkins Glen is probably the original road course on the NASCAR schedule and is still on there. So it has a in NASCAR and in other motorsports as well. We've seen Watkins Glen used in the IMSA series. We've seen it used in IndyCar. It hosted Formula One United States Grand Prix in the 60s and 70s. So this track has history in motorsports, and it's a fan favorite amongst everybody. Loves driving around this racetrack, loves watching the racing here. It's just fantastic. It has a couple of iconic corners. You look down to turn 1, the downhill braking, the S's, the infamous bus stop chicane into the carousel, and the boot section, which we're not running here tonight, but that boot section, everybody loves talking about that boot section. It's usually seen in the endurance race. But this NASCAR layout, very fast, and there's not that many opportunities under braking to really make a pass. You have about 3, really. You have down into turn 1, into the bus stop, which is tricky because going side by side there is not easy whatsoever. And then another opportunity down into turn 6 or turn 10, whichever one you call it, right there as you see on the camera.
And as you see on the camera as well, drivers lined up behind the iRacing official pace car. So it is our time to take a look trackside, see exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be starting here tonight in our first road course race of Season 5 of the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series. Kyle Benson in the number 10 machine lines it up on pole with a 110.633. He'll bring his Chevrolet Camaro for Murray Reedy Motorsports to the green flag first. He has his teammate from Murray Reedy Motorsports, Austin Reedy, on the outside of that first row. Row number 2, you'll find defending winner from this track, Adam Alashire, in a new team, new number 91. He'll start inside row number 2. Colin Forster, who was a force to be reckoned with at Nashville Superspeedway just 2 weeks ago. He's going to look to try and get his first win of Season 5 as he rolls off, or rather his second win of Season 5. He rolls off outside in that second row. Joe Sanchez, AJ Green, the drivers inside your top 6. And then you'll find the drivers inside row number 4, Cedric Hunter, the rookie driver in the number 31 machine. He is joined alongside by Scott Healy in the number 64, one of our former champions in this league. Kevin DeLee in the number 53 rolls off inside in P number 9, and Steven Stempien looking to go 2 in a row, the first time since Lawson Peel from last season. Stempien, the winner at Nashville Superspeedway, he rolls off inside top 10 from Watkins Glen.
Curtis Kelly's going to round out the top 11 there, just missed the top 10, with Jaden Porter, winner at Nashville 2 seasons ago, looking to try and there. Daniel Michel, he's a famous driver in this series. He's starting in the 13th position with Brandon Banks, longtime veteran, in 14th. We roll down to the next one. We see Xander Short making his debut. He's going to be in the 15th position alongside another veteran, Craig Lautenslager, usually one to show up in the top 10 at these road courses. Down to 17th, we've seen Eric Schaefer, who's also made a name for himself in this series with league owner Tyler Murray, starting in the 18th position. Michael Newbrawl is in 19th with Jesse Freeze rounding out the top 20.
We'll look through everybody 21st to 28th, our full field. That's Tyler Warner and Christopher Bishop, Tony Kibbett, Lawson Peel rolling deep in the field from 24th. Brandon Gillis, Cody Kinsey, Cody Ivy, and Rodney Roberts, our full 28-car field here from the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit. Drivers are ready to get things started. The 2 Murray Reedy Motorsports teammates going to bring us to green. Kyle Benson, Austin Reedy to the green flag, and we're underway in the first road course race of Season 5.
You see cars getting loose there off of turn 1, but it's mostly anybody really went around there. That's as good of a start as you can hope for, is to see 2 and maybe 3 wide deeper in the field working their way up through the S's, having to get single file for this little section. You have to be very easy on the throttle. It's very easy to break traction here, and you see guys pull out of line, see if they can make a move into this bus stop, but everybody's kind of taking it safe on this first lap, single file through the chicane.
I'd say everybody just wants to have their first lap planted and done for, but Cedric Hunter is going to go around off the exit of the bus stop. He'll back it into the outside wall, and it looks like he'll remain okay. No damage, at least significantly, on his Hello Kitty Ford Mustang, and Hunter, the rookie driver, immediately plummets through the running order, and he'll make our first, I believe, side-by-side battle. Him and Eric Schaefer, Brandon Banks in the mix as well. And a little mistake, but looks like we will stay green. And Kyle Benson, Austin Reedy, Joe Sanchez, your top 3, and leading them cleanly back to the start-finish line.
When we saw the 31 spinning, Kenneth, I think we also saw somebody miss the stop, so they don't get the penalty. I'm not sure who it was. I can't exactly check right now, but you see somebody locking there in the turn 1. It might have been Alashire, and indeed it was. And now you see back here the battle for third. That's Joe Sanchez trying to see if he can close up to the back of Reedy. The top couple of cars are somewhat separated evenly enough, but we'll get a second. There you see the 31. He's going to go around these curbs, and you see a car miss it there. And it looks like he just kind of broke traction there. I'm not sure if it was a curb or maybe just put in too much throttle, and not too much damage on that car. The good thing is it was mostly a body, and it was with the left rear right on the corner, and it didn't really bend in. Pretty safe, didn't damage the suspension, which is crucial with this car, so he should be fine. He'll try and make up some positions here before that Campiello at the halfway point on lap 28. On board now with Adam Alashire right behind your race leader, and he's trying to settle into it and see what he can do on this road course. Only lap 2, but sitting behind this leader, he's trying to see if he can learn anything to try and catch up to him.
And remember, Adam Alashire was not the most dominant driver the last time we were here at Watkins Glen. Obviously, with the connectivity issues that the entire server faced around halfway, Alashire was able to take the race lead, but you cannot not credit the driver of this 91 in a brand new number, a brand new manufacturer, and a brand new team out of Trackhouse Racing, one of 2 cars of that Trackhouse Racing stable in this 4-wide Racing Cup Series field. Alashar, though, has a lot of speed at these road courses, and he is not afraid to show it. It looks like over the first 3 laps, he's also been able to do so and actually set a lap considerably close to your race leader. It looks like Benson wants to run away. Alashar just wants to make sure he's calm for now, but still putting up some great laps and a lot of pace early on as he will hold off Austin Riddy, who was, by the way, under a challenge about a lap or so ago by Joe Sanchez for 3rd. It looks like that has since calmed down, and Austin Riddy now settling into that top 3 position will look to get back to P2 where he started this race. And also as well, Austin Riddy, a lot of history at road courses in previous 4-wide Racing Cup Series events at these tracks. You look back immediately to Circuit of the Americas where he picked up his 2nd win of the season. That came off of a spin by Lawson Peel coming out of turn 20. Obviously some luck in that mix as well, but you also cannot deny how strong, Francisco, a driver like Austin Riddy is at these road courses, and it felt like he's becoming one of the drivers to be a double threat in the series on both sides of the table. You look at Lawson Peel, how good he is on the ovals, being able to dominate on the road courses as well, how strong he's been able to be. And then Austin Riddy may be second in that list, a driver who's been able to really do well at these left and right hand courses, but also when they get to the ovals, he's able to put it on as well.
And a lot of it comes through reps, right? You just run laps continuously, especially in condition, learning, figuring out what things you can or can't do, and it also comes down to car. Sometimes you have guys that favor this car a little bit more than they did with the 6, or some guys actually prefer driving the Xfinity Series cars or even the Truck Series cars. But as Daniel Michel, the 71 of Curtis Kelly, making contact. Kelly able to hang on to that before making contact with that number 8, and you see Jaden Porter just behind it. But you have guys that maybe just suit a car better or suit a track better, and that's why we have to run these races. You'll see who's better when, and when it comes down to the checkered flag, we'll see who's able to put down the most consistent laps. And right now, at least early on, it's looking like Alashar is trying to see the best to keep up with your leader as you see this intense battle inside the top 10.
You saw Danny Michel, Curtis Kelly, both of them going side by side in the middle of the bus stop. That's usually not a place on the racetrack you would want to be just because it's so narrow, but fortunately they made it work. Curtis Kelly had to deal with a bit of contact, almost fell that extra spot to Steven Stempien in P9. But Kelly in this Hot Wheels number 71 machine is going to be able to continue. He rolls P8. And we'll try to catch that Los Angeles, California native in Michel, who has yet to really find a lot of luck in this 4-wide Racing Cup Series. He's performed rather well at the road courses in other leagues with this next-gen car. Fantastic battle you're watching, of course, from 8th all the way to P10 and maybe even a bit of P11. And speaking of the driver in P11, Francisco, a driver we've seen before in your league specifically, just behind a driver that's part of Baqueal Bueno Racing, the driver of the 21, Xander Short, I believe making his first ever start in the 4-wide Racing Cup Series, rolling with this 21 scheme tonight. And Xander already up to 11th since the drop of the green. Some good progress here at Watkins Glen to start.
Yeah, and early on for his 4-wide career, Kenneth, it's just about thing a new driver can do is just make sure that the nose stays clean. You don't get into anybody, you don't rough any feathers, but you're able to do good enough to give yourself confidence moving forward. And doing it at a road course is especially difficult. But the tactic usually when you come to these road courses is don't make any mistakes. Sometimes other drivers are going to make those, and that's where you can pick them off. And you have to be fast enough to be able to stay in front of them after they make said mistake. But that's where you get these good runs, and you're just able to capitalize because if you're not making mistakes, you're bound to have a good finish, and that's really what it's all about. If you can be fast and not make mistakes, you'll only start improving and get even better finishes. And right there, you see them battling heavily just in front of them. That might help him get into the top 10. I do believe he just made a pass there, so that should put him up into the top 10 now, Kenneth. So early start, it's looking good for Xander.
And that was Eric Schaefer in the number 3 machine, who has fallen a lap down. 27th he sits. Also to note, Rodney Roberts was scheduled to make the start of the race. He's 4 laps down and counting. It looks like he has pulled it behind the wall early. So unfortunately for Roberts, he's not going to be able to see the rest of this race here from Watkins Glen. You run on board here with your defending series champion, Lawson Peel, who does not have anything to worry about in terms of the playoffs. Picked up that win in race number 2 at the Michigan International Speedway as Eric Schaefer goes by. Just going to let a lot of these lead lap cars through. Not going to give them any trouble to deal with. And Peel victory at Michigan, now locked into the playoffs. So looking for that second straight 4-wide Racing Cup Series victory. And sitting right behind Xander Shorten, Lawson Peel did start all the way deep in this field. 24th is where he began. And Lawson Peel already up 12 since the drop. And up to P number 12 here as of lap number 7 of 55. It looks like Peel only going to continue this route up to the field. Peel, again, another one of those hard hitters, Francisco, when you look at the drivers that usually are favorites to be road course winners in this series. But for right now, everybody chasing at number 10 of Kyle Benson. He has been unstoppable since the drop of the green. Also to note, Austin Reedy has slipped by Adam Alashire to move back to second. But it's all Kyle Benson right now for sure over the first handful of laps.
And for those who've been watching us for a long time, Kenneth, they know that Kyle Benson's not a slouch on courses. He's gotten wins at road courses before, most notably at the Charlotte Roval back in season 2 when he was one of the contenders for the championship against Scott Healy. We saw him win at the Roval, which was his first win of that season, and he's been strong on road courses ever since. He's been consistent, running up there with Brian and Smith. Last season was able to run in the top 3, top 5 in most of the events, finishing 3rd in that incredible COTA race, which obviously, for good reason, we always talk about that finish between Peel and Reedy, but it was Benson who finished 3rd, so he is up there usually and consistently able to be in the top 5, and given the right opportunity, it could be a chance for Kyle Benson to bounce and maybe get after a race win. Still early, it's only 8 laps in, but we do know we have a comp yellow coming at halfway, which will give a driver like Lawson Peel an opportunity. We know he started at the back of the field, but that's probably exactly what he wanted. His contact around goes to 25 of Michel in that intense battle. He's going to spin back on. You see avoiding action by the 31. A couple of cars have to take to the grass here, Kenneth. Very dangerous rejoining, but everyone's able to get through.
It looks like everyone's able to slip past, and that 25 escapes without any damage on his Chevy Camaro. We'll see exactly how it all began, of course, on the back straightaway. A lot of draft you can get in this large braking zone. Heading for the bus stop, looks like the 25 tried to make his way underneath the 48 of AJ Green. Your Season 3 champion and could not do it. 71 wiggles. Watch this. Look at Cedric Hunter. Bam, right there, sliding through. And that's a huge avoidance from the 31 who went off in the same exact part of the track on the opening lap or so, and it looks like the 25 is going to be able to escape without any damage, but the only problem is he'll fall to 15th on the racetrack, sitting behind Brandon Banks in the number 54. So he falls out of that battle. Meanwhile, another battle brewing inside the top 9. This is Steven Stepien, Jaden Porter, Xander Short. Again, we've seen these three all around each other on the racetrack, and now the only problem is, Francisco, they've lost out to the driver who started 24th in this race. Lawson Peel has immediately moved up through the charts, and he is not looking back at all as you ride on board with Stepien.
Sometimes also, Kenneth, when you go into these, there's people you probably aren't expecting to battle, and you probably won't until it's the end of the race once the points are paid. Right now on lap 9, I think most of these guys aren't trying to race Lawson Peel. They know he's going to be a contender. They know he should be there. So now, 8 laps into the race, knowing that there's still over 40 to go, they're going to let him go, give him an opportunity, let him run those laps, worry about their own race and their own battles, which is right here. A pack of about 7 cars. This is the battle these guys are worried about. As Lawson Peel starts to carve his way through in that Chick-fil-A machine, we'll see what he's able to do and see if he can get up there to the front and eventually challenge the likes of Kyle Benson. But for now, he keeps on clicking as he moves past AJ Green. Those are the last 2 champions right there, Kenneth. They're battling for position.
And nice to see them both working through each other. Looks like Peel's going to slide up to 7th, the textbook pass entering turn 1. And now he'll look on to the 71, Curtis Kelly. That'll be for P6. But you look at the gap there between Curtis Kelly, who's sitting P6, and P5 Colin Forster. It is about roughly 5.5 seconds, 5 seconds, maybe in that range in distance. So while all of them have been battling each other, they've all lost time on the racetrack. So it's allowed Colin Forster and others up in the top 5 to pull away. And even if Lawson Peel can make quick work of that 71, he's going to need to do a lot on the track and make up a lot of that discrepancy in time by himself once he tries to get it to Colin Forster, which right now obviously not in the cards, as he still needs to get past that number 71 of Curtis Kelly. Also to note, I believe the gap has closed in between your Murray Reedy Motorsports teammates. Remember, we talked about Austin Reedy sliding into 2nd, getting back around Adam Alashire, who had held that spot for at least the first couple of laps. Austin Reedy has moved his way past. And last lap by set a lap almost a half a second faster than his teammate Kyle Benson in the 10. So safe to say Reedy is picking up the pace and definitely looking to challenge against his teammate. Maybe make it a little friendly competition as we get to lap 12.
We'll see. It has to be consistent as well. You can set any lap quicker, especially a lot quicker like you did the last time, but you have to do that consistently in order to close the gap. So we'll see what the lap time when they come across the line this time and see if it's a real challenge by him or not. I think noticeably you can tell the gap is slowly starting to shrink. He was behind another car, and once he got into the clean area, he had to adjust for a little bit, get used to just seeing the leader out there. And I think now that he's got a couple laps under him, he's starting to click off the lap times and see if he can reel him in. And those are teammates up there, and they should have a nice, clean battle. It is only the first half of the race. We'll see if that's the case in the second half when we get there. You see these two, Christopher Bishop battling a little bit deep in the field. He's in 21st right now, and that's a nice AC Delco. That's a throwback to Jeff Gordon, if you will. Maybe not the exact same, but at least that's what everyone remembers with that sponsor.
It's a beautiful car, but I think AC Delco immediately reminds me of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Xfinity car that he took to the championship back in 1999, and Kinsey has been sporting this nice paint scheme for the entirety of the season. I think overall, of the 4 races we've seen in Season 5, and Kinsey, like you said, in that close proximity with Christopher Bishop in the 42. That is a battle for 21st. We're going to try and keep an eye on that, as it looks like we have drivers on pit road, a pair of Tylers to bring us in for the first time, 16 of Tyler Murray, the 33 of Tyler Warner, and I believe they are also joined by Steven Stempien in the 8 machine. Remember, Stempien was just inside the top 9 or so before this pit stop. So an early call, lap 12, looks to be fuel only for the 3 Bowtie Camaros, all going to come out this time.
That's probably what we're going to see tonight, a lot of fuel only. But it's interesting that they came just before the halfway point in this stage. We know that the yellow's going to, and normally halfway of that would be about 14. So they came on lap 12. Maybe they're just filling up to make sure they get to the end, or trying some sort of strategy, see if they can do an undercut and force these other guys to pit. I'm not exactly sure what the fuel window is, but you probably can't go a whole run there without having to take a pit stop. So they're probably trying to get the jump now and see if they can gain some positions that way. Not a bad idea if you're deep in the field. You can gain some spots that way before caution, and that's exactly how you help your race out.
And strategy is going to be big when you think about that caution at halfway. Of course, last season, we had those connectivity issues. It handled somewhat like a caution. They had to throw the yellow just to get everybody all set and made sure the drivers that were booted out of the race by accident by the sim were able to try and rejoin and at least give them some time to recoup themselves and give them the opportunity to get back in this race and allow themselves to get some solid points. But with this race having a manufactured yellow in the middle of the race without the wacky server issues that we had last time we were here, it's going to open things up on that strategy book for sure, because they know the drivers are going to come in at some point under green probably, but that caution is really going to, again, bunch the field back up, but it's also going to mean, hey, I've got this guaranteed caution. How do I work this into my pit road strategy to make sure I can gain those couple of spots, maybe make an undercut work, maybe make an overcut work? It looks like fuel is going to be the main difference. Tires aren't really going to be that big of a factor, so that also couples into it as well. And we'll just see with those handful of drivers that did come in for service that last time through. We're going to try and check again, see if anybody else has come down pit road. The answer seems to be no. So with the first 14, everybody all content with staying out on the racetrack. You're right on board with second place Austin Reedy, and there it is, right out the front windshield, Francisco, your race leader. Some lap traffic right in front of him, but Kyle Menson may be under fire soon, and we may see another change for the race lead.
Yeah, he's been slowly gaining, so he has been making those lap times. As you see, they both go wide here. That's usually the line you want to run. Carousels go all the way beyond that curve and then kind of work it back to the right side. They've both been fast. They've been pulling away from the third place car of Alishire, and eventually Alishire is probably going to get challenged by Forrester and even Joe Sanchez. But right now, these top two have been the fastest on the racetrack, but the one behind your race leader has been running faster. So we'll probably see these two converging on one another, and we'll see whether the pass happens on track or not. We don't know if there's going to be people that want to pit before the caution so that they can stay out and therefore take the lead for the restart. We're not exactly sure how all that's going to work out, but I'm sure somebody's thinking about that already. And if you can do it earlier, knowing that it's just a fuel only, then it could exactly work out in your favor. If you think about it, Ken, 55 laps, you could probably split that into about 18 lap runs or so, and that'll give you the opportunity to stay out under the caution, and you pit the one time that you need to in the final stage. So maybe these guys will try something like that, or maybe they'll just try. I'm not too sure. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with the fuel window here for today. I know it's 75%. I just don't know how many laps that translates into. But that would be my guess. Guys might try and pit once here in this first stage. Make sure it's enough to only have to pit once in the last stage and be able to stay out under the yellow flag that we'll have at halfway. That way they don't get mired in the back of the field.
Yeah, track position and where you come out on track is going to be important. That also couples with just the fact that because tires are not as big of a concern, I believe as soon as everybody has that opportunity, that window where if they come down for full tank of fuel, they're going to make it to the end of the race. They're not going to worry about pit stops at all. They're not going to worry about that whatsoever. We'll see what AJ Green and Xander Short do. They're in a battle for the inside of the top 10. Looks like they're going to stay out an extra lap, so they're going to just join the rest of the field here. Won't necessarily be that big of a debate. It was only those 3 cars or so in Tyler Murray, Tyler Warner, and Steven Stempien to all come in succession. Also to note, Tyler Murray, Tyler Warner have fallen a lap down. Stempien, the only one that hasn't. He's inside the top 20, but he's dropped so much track position. And I believe maybe he was hoping that everybody at the front would follow suit. We've seen that happen a lot, even at the ovals and on the road courses as well. As soon as a driver comes in for service, it's more like monkey see, monkey do. Everybody else starts biting the bullet, and then you have a whole pack of cars and batches of them coming in for service. This time doesn't seem to be the case. Those 3 wanted to be the trendsetters. Unfortunately, they're caught up on the wrong side of the trend, and everybody else staying out on track. It's hurting them for the moment. There is Austin Reedy grabbing some more tenths off of your race leader. They crossed the line. 110.818 for Austin Reedy, a 110.847 for your race leader, Kyle Benson. So again, Austin Reedy just continuing to hammer on the door of that 10 machine for the race lead. And the only question is now, Francisco, how does he make the pass complete if he wants to do it?
Well, he has to get closer than this, but right now it's going to be very difficult. As we explained in the pre-race, there's only 3 real braking opportunities. The first one was in turn 1. This is the second one, but it's very tricky to do it here because it's hard to go side by side. You see a little bit of a mistake there by Benson, kind of getting loose under braking, but he kind of gets the exit right and keeps enough of a gap to protect himself against his teammate. And then the third one is way after this corner down towards turn 6, which they'll get to soon enough here. Here's the 55 of Sanchez. He's in 4th. He's past Colin Forrester, and he actually also passed Alishar, so he's moved up into 3rd. And here you see turn 6. That's probably the last real braking opportunity you have to pass. It's very hard to pass here. It's so short, but it does set yourself up for turn 1. You can kind of get them offline, force them to do something different, which could open up your opportunity down here in turn 1. So as you see the gap close once again, a faster lap by Austin Reedy with about 10 laps left in this stage. How patient is he? He knows he has 10 laps until the yellow comes out. The question is, does he want the lead now, or is he thinking about something else to help him get the lead?
And we'll just see as he works up the S's up the hill. We'll crest over this turn before heading for the back straightaway in that heavy braking zone, that bus stop chicane. Looks like Reedy will not fire just yet, not close enough to anyway. And they have significantly opened that gap between themselves and Joe Sanchez, like you said, Francisco, who has now moved into 3rd, has moved past that 91 of Adam Alishire, who continues to somewhat plummet through the order, but it just looks like Sanchez a little faster as the laps have progressed. Now coming out of what is usually turn 5, known as the carousel here, Watkins Glen, they'll head for turn 6. The other braking zone looks like Reedy not going to fire this time, going to close in. It looks like turn 7 just might be that vantage point for the 96 to look for the lead. Also to note, these are 2 teammates at Murray Reedy Motorsports, so the last thing Reedy wants to do is try to make a pass and have Benson fight hard for it, at least to keep the race lead. They don't want to lose more time. They don't want to hurt each other's chances of going for the race win. And here comes Austin Reedy, heavy on the brakes, turn 1, and takes away P1 from Benson.
That was a textbook move into turn 1. Benson saw it coming, decided to give him the get the move done, and gets in behind him to see what he can do to try and fight back. But we saw this coming, Kenneth. Eventually, the 96 was going to put up a challenge to Benson. Benson hasn't let him go yet. We're approaching this bus stop, but we'll see if he tries something here. I don't think he will. It's a tough sport. You see, he breaks first just to try and see if he can set up the exit better. But that's him basically seceding the position to his teammate and just trying to figure out what he can do to either run better or figure out something for when the yellow does come out to see if he can try that or do something different. Because now that he's lost the lead, we'll see if he tries to come down pit road or does something different, because as previously mentioned, we're not sure what the exact window is. We're not sure if everybody can get the whole 28 laps or not. Maybe they can, but if they can't, I think if you're the 10, you have to come down pit road. It's a really good opportunity to see a car that was off the track there. It's the 81. It seems to have damage, and exactly that, exactly what I was talking about. Here comes here comes the 10 of Benson on pit road.
Benson going to come by himself. It looks like we'll watch third on back. Sanchez, Alashire not going to fire, and neither will Colin Forster inside the top 5. So Benson going to come all by himself for what's going to be fuel, and we'll try to look for track position, and we'll stay out once this caution flag comes out. I was about to mention, though, that Benson could have had a little bit of an opportunity to take notes on what Reedy is doing better. I've seen, most notably, that entrance into the bus stop, that heavy braking zone. Reedy is way more confident on the brakes than Benson is. It looks like Benson hops on the binders way earlier. That 96 can carry so much more speed entering that first curb or so, and then he's able to really weave it through those little sectors where he can bring it into the carousel, which isn't the fastest part of the track for him, but that bus stop entrance definitely helps you close the gap. And it looks like the 96 will cleanly get to the race lead now with about a 10-second gap on Joe Sanchez, who is now in P2 and hasn't really been able to catch up. So Reedy and Benson, the two master class drivers of the field, trying to make sure they can keep control and pace of the race so far as we approach lap number 20. Easily approaching our first half and our caution break here from Watkins Glen International. Here's a look at our defending series champion, Lawson Peel, who with the pit stops has moved up to 5th. And now looking on Colin Forster for 4th. So may see another battle here between the 99 and the 12. It looks like Forster's going to back out. We'll try to get around some of the lap traffic. That's Tyler Murray in the 16. It looks like up the road, that is the 78 machine. Or 76, rather. That's Tony Kimmett. But Lawson Peel knocking on the door here for P4. And what a job it's been for Peel. Up now, it's going to be 20 positions if he can get around that 99.
Of course, and it's been a good drive by the 12 of Peel. He obviously chose to start at the back of the field. He could have qualified, but chose not, and decided to see if he can do it from the back of the field. We've seen him qualify on pole and win before at these road courses, but it's a whole nother challenge to be able to start at the very back of the field, dead last, and find your way up at the front. We see certain guys do that in official races or even some professional races. Guys will choose to start in the back and see if they can work their way to the front. It's usually more than likely accomplishable at a road course because of the talent gap, if you will. There's such a wide range in what drivers are able to do at road courses compared to ovals, where it's mostly full throttle lap time, than a road course where it takes a lot of the shifting, braking, accelerating. There's a lot wider of margin of error, and usually guys like that will capitalize on those to be able to make up a lot of positions and a lot of time very quickly. Someone might just went off in turn 1 in the background. I'm not sure who it was, but it looked like it might have been just right sides for that 55. I figured he thought he was going to be in his pit stall for about 6 or 7 seconds and decided to hell with take a side of tires with it. You have them available, may as well. Maybe he knows something we don't, but usually those tires will wear, and they pull into pit road. And we'll see now what the undercut means. He is racing the 10 of Benson. There you see Peel. He stays out. He's going to take the lead of the race as Reedy now pulls into his stall for service. There you see the 99 of Forster. He's on pit road. So if we try and find the 10 of Benson, he should be coming around this last sector here. And there he is into the final corner now, onto the front straightaway. So he's crossing the start-finish line now, Kenneth. And if we look back to the 96 of Reedy, he should be already starting back onto the racetrack. And there he is right there. Indeed, he is merging back on the racetrack now. And he actually gained a lot of time on the driver who was in second place when Reedy took the lead, and he opened up that gap. Now it's just a matter of who else pits and when do they pit, because eventually it will cycle back to the driver of the 96.
And we'll see Lawson Peel stay out. Lap 23, Jaden Porter, Cedric Hunter, and Daniel Michel, the other ones to follow suit. So we're going to wait for them to come in. It looks like Austin Reedy roughly 4 or so seconds behind Daniel Michel, running in P4. So obviously that's going to be an easy pass to make once Michel comes in for service. It should also be the same for Cedric Hunter. But once you get around Jaden Porter and Lawson Peel, that's where things get a little sketchy. Of course, if they stay out on the racetrack, we'll just see exactly how things roll, as that's one of the Hot Wheels cars going way off. And here comes Lawson Peel, now in for his first stop, a couple of laps before our halfway mark of the race. And here comes Jaden Porter to follow suit as well.
And this is about a couple laps short of the comp yellow. So if you're the guys that pitted in the last 3 or so laps, you're probably very confident that you can stay out under this upcoming yellow and be able to pit just the one time in the final stage. If you pitted early, like the Tylers or anybody like that pitted around lap 12, I believe it was, you're looking at a tough window to be able to make it. Maybe you can, but you definitely cost yourself strategy. So this is the part where it'll help you out. You're probably going to have to pit under caution and lose the track position that you might gain back by having done that strategy. Since everybody's pitting now, they've unlapped themselves, but it's not the way they would have wanted this to have gone. There you see now the battle once again, the 25 and the 31. They're battling for position here. That's Michel. Actually, they're not battling for position. One car is a lap down. Michel is running in the lap down position. That's the 31. Cedric Hunter, who's running in second place, who finished second last week, Kenneth. And that was a tough one for him. You know, he got very close to winning his first race. Unfortunately, it was somebody else who captured his first career win. And it's just the unfortunate part of racing. But he's been fast. He's finished in the top 10 as he now makes his way on a pit road, and he's going to get there soon enough. He's had a solid run today, made a couple mistakes, but he's still running solidly in the top 10.
And Cedric Hunter and Daniel Michel coming in collectively, and there's one car off, and it looks to be the 9. Brandon Gillis going to go way out in turn 1. He's able to get that car back settled, so of course, no incidents out on the racing surface. And it's also one thing we've seen as well. A lot of cleanliness here from Watkins Glen. Not a lot of crashes. We've seen everybody rather clean on the track, and they've raced each other well. So that's all you can really ask for as we're having this strategy race unfold here into the final handful of laps until we end up in our first caution break, and the only one at halfway here from Watkins Glen. So with Hunter and AJ, or rather Daniel Michel, coming down pit road, that is going to give the lead to Austin Reedy. Kyle Benson has settled around 1.8, 1.9 seconds, give or take, in P2. Adam Alashire has now completed the top 3. Colin Forster and Curtis Kelly round out your top 5. And I was about to look at Joe Sanchez, who actually fell to that 71 of Curtis Kelly. Remember, he took tires, and so did Lawson Peel in the 12th. And they're all back to 6th and 7th out on the racing surface for the moment. So I believe that extra bit of time costs these drivers dearly at a track and at a road course where tires really are not the main factor, which is a little weird to talk about, just because at these road courses, Francisco, you'd expect tires to matter way more than it usually would at, let's say, a lot of the ovals on our schedule. But obviously, with the way iRacing has the tires on these next-gen cars for the road courses, not a lot of fall off. So you're seeing a lot of fast laps being set late in runs by your leaders. And obviously, that's better for these guys because it means they don't have to check tires on pit road. They are fine, and they don't even need to bother with having to worry about how many sets they have left and how many sets they want to keep for the end of the race. They really don't have to deal with that whatsoever. But it's just an interesting cause of note for many drivers in the field. When it comes down to strategy, you just want fuel only.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, though. I mean, if we had tire wear with this car, it would be absolutely amazing just seeing the different strategies work out and how guys handle really old. See how it is. We can only imagine what it would be like on a road course. So I hope iRacing does fix that problem in a couple of months. They've had this car for, at least in this package, for about a year now. They've had it for almost 2 years. I really do hope that they fix it. They do have the data now after the 2022 season has been completed, and hopefully soon enough, at least definitely sometime in 2023, Kenneth, we hope that they can bring it onto iRacing and finally have a proper tire model with this race car. We see it just work just fine with the Xfinity cars and every other stock car and road racing car. It's really only this car that seems to have the issue, and it is relatively new, but you just hope that they fix it. It's obviously good what we have, but it is not realistic if we're being honest.
Well, also, I mean, apart from that as well, we have seen a lot of road course racing elements added into iRacing for the newest build, 2023 Season 1. You look at the new content that is released to the BMW V8 Hybrid, part of the LMDH category that's going to compete in IMSA for 2023. You look at the artwork update and a beautiful resurfacing that they did for the Sebring International Raceway, which a track that I have a wish that next gens could be raced on in real life, or at least in the sim in some sort of capacity. In any league, that track is so much fun to drive with this car on the iRacing platform. The active reset feature that is also very important for road course racing, the Toyota GR86, that was also introduced to the sim as a free content for all members on the site, as a caution flag will be thrown. That is our halfway mark of the race, so our stage break coming here at the halfway mark here, lap 55. Our target end is Austin Reedy holds on to the lead. He'll slow down, give courtesy for everybody else. Kyle Benson, Alishire, Kelly, and Colin Forster to round out your current top 5. Still trying to settle everything here from the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit, and strategy only unfolding more as we get closer to the end of tonight's race. You're watching coverage of race number 4 in Season 5 of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series. Don't go anywhere. We've got more on the other side of the break.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Wanted the best, you got him for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
First half complete in race number 4 of Season 5 of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series, live for the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit. Glad to have you back with us here on MaxSpeedTV. Kenneth Bueno, Francisco Bacallao along with you for the ride. And here's a split decision by the leaders on pit stops. We talked about at the top of the show our halfway break was coming at lap 28. It happened. Austin Reedy had been in control of the race after our first round of green flag stops. It looks like we've got some more in this time, Francisco. A lot of drivers coming in for fuel, but over that first half, we saw a lot of great battles, but most notably strategy in the mix as well. Some drivers taking tires, some drivers taking fuel only, and we also saw a lot of track position changes, but really over that first half, I think the only thing to take away as Austin Reedy overshoots his pit box, that may change the race lead when we come out, is that Murray Reedy Motorsports has been on a tear, and it looks like they have only controlled the rhythm further as the race has progressed.
Yeah, but this caution's going to change the pace now. We had a couple guys stay out there. I think most of the field pitted there. We saw a lot of guys take tires. but I think guys may have preferred to have taken fuel there as a strategy to take less under green, because I don't think anybody can still make it to the end of the race, but if you take less fuel on your green flag pit stop, it shortens your pit stop length, and that could very well help you out in your strategy. So it might be a good move, but what I don't think is a good move if they've given the 12 of Lawson Peel track position. He's been the fastest out, including with your top two, and I think now that he's going to have a solid track position being in that second row for this, he's definitely going to be the one to watch.
And we saw over the long run, Austin Reedy was really able to reel in Kyle Benson. And my biggest question to the 10 is whether he will be able to flip the script. Can he keep that long run pace, stay ahead of his teammate, and not really pull away as much in that short run in those first handful of laps, and then give it all up at the very end? We'll just see. But so far, if you're a Murray Reedy Motorsports fan, or if you're a part of Murray Reedy Motorsports, these drivers are, you got to be very happy with the results right now. I know Tyler Murray hasn't been up here with the likes of these drivers. It looks like Murray is mired all the way back in 16th in that 16 machine. But these two up at the front have been our titans, and they have not fallen quite yet. We'll try and reset the order. Looks like telemetry a little out of hand right now, so if you see it at the top of your screen, just shuffle a little bit. It will all fix itself by the time we go back to green flag racing. But what we know is for certain, Kyle Benson is your race leader, and it looks like Austin Reedy is going to fall back to second. Actually, we do not see him on the timing sheet. Did he have a problem on pit road? He's giving up positions dramatically. He's letting the whole field by. So Austin Reedy might have been assessed a pit road penalty to send him to the end of the line.
I believe he might have been speeding on the entry, Kenneth. If you remember, he made a late decision when he decided to come down pit road, as you see guys are coming in on 1 to green to top off. And this, I'm not sure. This is definitely going to really hurt his chances of the race. He's lost all his track position. Let's see if we can get a look back at that entrance into pit road under this caution, Kenneth, because, like I said, it was a late decision by him. He pulled in really late and might have just been over the speed limit, and that exactly might have been where he got busted for speeding. So we'll get a second look at it as we try to get to it. It should be right around here. No, that was just a couple of seconds ago. I'll give you the opportunity to get to it, which is right there as we go into pit road. So there you see the pace car coming onto the front stretch. Everybody's going to pit. The light is green. So they're going to pull it into pit road. Actually, no, the light was not green. So everybody pitted with pits closed, it seems anyway. But you saw that late entry that he might have been over the speed limit. We'll see if we go on board and hear anything out of his car to determine whether or not he went over. So there you see the speed. So he's going to maybe speed up here a little bit, and actually, I think he might have had a line violation. He did hit the...
It looks like just went over the line. And for Reedy there, that's going to cost him dearly. Remember, control the race lead, had it with his teammate Kyle Benson, and now he's going to have to forfeit all of that and drop to the end of the longest line. So with that, that's going to really shuffle up the field, and that's going to give the lead to Joe Sanchez in the 55 out of Drinkin' Bros Racing. The first time we see Sanchez in control of P1, and Lawson Peel, who started 24th at the drop of the green, now outside of that first row. So a big shakeup here with Kyle Benson dropping back a couple of spots. It looks like he has fallen to P5 on the track. He is there on the outside of row number 3. So for the first time all night long, we are going to see a Murray Reedy Motorsports car not inside the top 3 and not in control of the race lead. Coming out of turn 7, pace car makes its way to the entrance of pit road, and it'll be the jump for the 55. Joe Sanchez leads us back to green in the second half from Watkins Glen.
If he can stay clear for the lead, it'll be huge, because we know Peel is very fast as we go through turn 1. Holds the spot for the moment. Oh, we got a crash. That's the 99. Forced around. Several cars are gone around. 3 of Dalia is involved. A couple of cars have made contact. That's really going to scatter the backside of the field. There you see the 13 of Lautenschlager involved as well. So a carnage there that we didn't see in the start, Kenneth. We saw it there as more urgency around there. S's.
And more cars around. We'll try to find out exactly what happened entering turn 1. Look at Colin Forster with a huge send, and they all stack up on the outside. And that sends them all around. Curtis Kelly, AJ Green, Daniel Michel with damage. There's Cody Ivey with a late hit to the 53. Another hit dealt by the 42 of Christopher Bishop. Austin Reedy in the middle of all of that. And some big trouble, and especially by the 99, he's even more trouble. Otherwise, it looks like Christopher Bishop stopped dead in the middle of the racing surface. I think Kyle Benson might have been into that as well. He drops to 19th, so it only becomes more of a disaster for the Murray Reedy Motorsports drivers.
It was a very questionable choice to pit there, Kenneth. I wasn't exactly spent a couple of laps on the racetrack after pitting. So here we go. He's under fire. He's in a major battle here. Hits the curb, gets loose, and just barely makes contact with the 71 of Curtis Kelly, and pretty significant contact to the back of this car, which we've seen it cause a lot of damage to this race car. Fortunately, they won't actually feel that kind of hit, which has been talked around this year, but that's going to cause damage to his race car. It's going to slow him down a bit, and of course, the biggest problem, he's lost the track position. So our two contenders, Kenneth, under this caution, have lost out majorly. That has opened the door, like we mentioned, how it could so for the likes of Joe Sanchez, Lawson Peel as well into this battle as we expected him to be. But now you throw away the Murray Reedy Motorsports guys because they both found themselves in hot waters.
Well, it looks like in any case, I was about to mention that it was going to be completely different this race around from last season just because we didn't have all the wackiness of the server going down, shaking up the running order. I think I was completely wrong. Even if nothing happens with the server, we're going to see something happen in the middle of the field, whether it be the leaders or anybody else. And we've got carnage in the back of the field. And here's where we stand with the 55 and the 12. Joe Sanchez, Lawson Peel at the head of the field. And look at the gap all the way back to Adam Alashire, rounding out your top three for Trackhouse Racing. So things only continue to shake up at these road courses, and you're riding on board with your defending champion looking to hunt down on his teammate for the race lead at lap 31.
He's trying to search and see what he can do. It's early in the... But we know Peel's been the faster driver. He's been able to catch up to Joe Sanchez after starting at the back, so let's see what we can now. Early in the run, these guys, remember, stayed out, so they are on slightly used tires, so that should in some sense. So we'll see if Peel is patient. We'll see what he's able to do. Learn a little bit from being with the 55, battling for the top spot. But a quick highlight here, Kenneth. Look who's moved his way up into the 4th spot. It is the 12 of Xander Short.
And Xander Short, the rookie driver in his debut race, sitting behind Adam Alashire. And Xander Short has survived. He's kept himself calm through all the pit road madness. And this 21 car up inside the top 5. And looking to grab some more if he can get around that number 91. Xander has been somewhat fast all race long. We've seen him around the likes of Steven Stempian, Jaden Porter. All of them have been somewhat significantly close in speed. But now Short, with all that clean air, at least some space between himself and traffic around them, can really put in these laps. Focus here into the final 23 here from Watkins Glen. And Xander Short will look to cap off what's been a remarkable start here at the road course. And also, it makes me think back, Francisco, to Jaden Porter himself, the rookie driver, kind of from last season. It's in his first full-time effort here in Season 5, but really last season, Season number 4, was where Jaden Porter got his start. And think about where he finished here at Watkins Glen last time we were here. Finished inside the top 3, and he was battling this driver right in front of him, currently the 13 of Craig Lounslugger. So rookies continue to shine among the veterans here at this track.
And of course, the difference between Porter and Short there is that Porter has been on iRacing for a pretty decent amount of time. He has some experience, of course, with the sim and how the sim works. Meanwhile, Xander Short got it earlier this year, so he is the sim has kind of learning on the fly, and he's over the last couple of months he has improved. I know you and I have had the opportunity of racing it with him, and he's really improved. He's really wanted to learn how these cars work faster, and he's put the time and the effort in, and it's paying off. He's been able to improve steadily. He still has a good bit of ways to go, but you're starting to see flashes of what can be out of that driver.
And how many times, Francisco, have we talked about rookies taking this league by storm? Colin Forster, AJ Green, a lot of the Stonks Motorsports guys, when they entered in season number 3, we were not expecting that much because we thought the veterans were going to just take control. Those rookies would have a little bit of time to get settled and then would start to stop on the competition. They didn't need to wait at all. It took the first 3 races. Colin Forster won 3 straight. You also look at Lawson Peel, who's now really considered a veteran in this series and a season champion from a couple of months ago. He made his first start in season number 3. And really, he came off the gate swinging. Had that win at Richmond with a 2-tire call, then came away with the win at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the season finale. So really, the rookies have been the highlights of this series, and Xander Short only adding on to that long list as Peel continues to reel in his teammate and current race leader, Joe Sanchez, will look to the back bumper and will try to attack, heading for turn 1.
That was a good exit, and I was going to mention that he's going to poke his nose to the inside. He'll try a switchback here out of turn 1. Peel just has a lot of momentum, goes a little bit off of the curve towards the exit. We'll see what the 55 does now that he's behind and see what he can do to pick up. But we know Peel has been fast on these road courses. He's always been fast on these road courses. So we'll see just how much can Joe Sanchez contend with him to see what they can do. Looking down the order now, looks like we have a battle here for position. It looks like the 93 is going to be battling the 70, or that's the 33 of Tyler Warner with the 93 of Curtis, or I'm sorry, I'm forgetting names right now, but it looks like there was an issue there for spots on this particular lap. He's now behind the 54. So we'll get a look here. He did get caught up by the 25 and the 31, it seems, and still battling inside the top 5, but I think something might have happened in the middle of the lap, maybe a mistake on his part, which has cost him those other 2 or 3 spots that you see from behind. So as we go up to the S's, we'll see here if he maybe gets loose or gets into the wall.
Just went wide.
Yeah, just taps the wall just a little bit. Fortunately, it was a liner. You can see just how fast this section of the racetrack is. Everybody else, they keep their foot on it, and they go 3 wide momentarily before this chicane, and he just kind of backs out, knowing he still has 20 laps to go. It's better to keep the car clean than try to battle for that one position.
So Xander Short falls back to P9. It looks like he'll drop some more positions. Kyle Benson, Cody Kinsey going to go by. And I think it's only really her. Actually, no, Xander Short not going to fall back. We saw that on the telemetry, so a little mistake on my part. It looks like it might have been Jaden Porter, or either that or Cody Kinsey falling back in the running order. But Short going to maintain in P9. And he'll try to keep his car clean heading into the final 20 or so laps. And you also saw that 3-wide move by Austin Ritty. He is now rebounded to P7. And we'll try to look on Cedric Hunter, that pink machine up in front. Daniel Michel and Steven Stepien on a slight trio here, 4th through P6. And Austin Ritty doing a miraculous job already to recover. And I think the good thing, Francisco, by making this mistake at that part of the race is that he's still giving himself a solid amount of time to get back to the front. A lot of times we see drivers make mistakes late in the race, and then by the time they're trying to pick up the pieces, it's already too late. The time has already run out, and they don't have anything they can do. Now, though, that Austin Ritty has been able to make that mistake, yeah, obviously that's not the way you want to handle it. You don't want it to have it happen to you, specifically to drop all the way in the running order, but to have it happen with the last half of the race to go, you've got a lot of time to get yourself settled, get yourself back focused, and say, all right, I know I've got winning pace. I know I'm one of the fastest, if not the fastest driver in the field. Let me settle in, let me tee up, and let me get back to these positions.
Kind of doing what we saw Peel do in the first half. He's doing it now in the second half. Peel trying to pass cars. It will be difficult, though, because he is several seconds off your race leader. And while I do think he could definitely go up there and challenge for a top 3 finish, it's going to be difficult to say whether or not he can catch Peel, because we know Peel is usually one of the fastest. And when you lose this track position, it's hard to catch up. We saw in the first half, Lawson Peel went from last to about somewhere in the 6th or 5th position. So while he did a good job, it was going to be tough for him to always catch up to that top 2. There's just so much that track position offers. And now that he's caught up to this battling trios, you see a lockup 5 that's going to make him go 3 wide going into the final turn. Reedy's going to see this. There's contact in front of him. He's going to try and send it down the inside to the 25 of Michel to take the spot there. And then he's going to set his eyes on Stempien.
They shuffled dramatically there in the last 2 corners of the racetrack, and so Michel drops back to P6. Reedy moves up to 5th, and now we'll have striking distance on Steven Stepien and Cedric Hunter. That was a huge send in turn 6, by the way, by Daniel Michel. Found his way under Stepien. A nice job to keep it planted and make sure they did not completely go sailing off into the off section of the course and going into the barrier. But that has opened the door further for Austin Ritty, and that is going to help him heading for the last 19 laps of this race. Steven Stepien right in front of him. Looks like Ritty's going to maybe dive on the brakes this time through. They'll go to the inside. Looks like he'll back out, heading for the bus stop. So Stepien going to hold on to 4th, at least for now. And that's going to stall Ritty's progression and his advances a little longer. Steven Stepien, by the way, Francisco, we have to talk about the story from a couple of weeks ago where he picked up his first ever 4-wide Racing Cup Series victory at the Nashville Superspeedway. One that we've seen kind of become a long time coming from last season in the final race, where it looked like at Texas had the fastest car, was the most consistent, Could not outlast his teammate, though, at the time. Lawson Peel for the race victory. Then came this season around, had the pole for Daytona and the TJ's Team 250. Got caught up in wrecks late. Couldn't get back to the very front, despite leading a good amount of laps. And then it looked like Michigan really didn't go his way at all. And then Kansas, or rather Nashville Superspeedway, came around. And then that was his saving grace. Fastest car near the end, able to take away the lead in the final handful of laps, took away the win, and Stempien locked into the playoffs, and I believe his first full-time effort for Lights Out Esports.
Yeah, he made that questionable strategy call to come down pit road, but it ended up working out for him because of that late caution, and everybody was on really old tires, forcing most of the field to have to pit. A couple of guys stayed out. That put him in front of the tires, and it put him behind the people on really old tires. He was able to capitalize and go and take the win, extending the record for new winners at Nashville Superspeedway to 3. Every single time we've been to Nashville, we've had a first-time winner, Kenneth, which is something to look forward to when we go back there next season, hopefully. The schedule. I started it. Wait, that wasn't my first one. I'm sorry. Homestead. I forgot about Homestead. Yes. Oh, grass. Oh. Yeah, that's unfortunate, and I'm not sure. I can't really see that left front of his, but he might be lucky if he doesn't have suspension damage from that, Kenneth. He doesn't. A very lucky situation. You see, you're on board with him. You see this happen in front of you. You're just kind of right here. You see him going wide. He just unfortunately doesn't expect that to be happening, and that's something you learn. You see a car going wide, you space to recover. You probably try and back up the corner. You're gonna get past them. But that is a little bit of a learning move. I don't think he has suspension damage, which is fortunate enough for him. But with a pit stop remaining, I do believe he might have a faster pair available, which he can use if necessary. You see some smoke back there. Maybe somebody has gone off. And a couple laps ago, I forgot to mention that Benson had another issue. He's fallen a couple of spots down outside of the top 10 now, and he's about 20-some-odd seconds behind the leader. He's worked his way up to 7th now. But he is 20 seconds off the lead. He had another issue because if you remember, he was not far behind Reedy after getting caught up, and it was ahead of Xander.
And also to touch back on the incidents with Xander Short, it just looks like he's got caught up on two ends of the racetrack where this car can get remarkably tight. I've driven this track for NIS at least a couple of months back in the middle of the summer. And once you go up through the S's, that second turn to the left, when you're carrying so much speed, you're trying to keep the throttle in, that car can really go understeer on you and can easily send you up into that outside wall. You have to check up. That's what happened with Short on the first deal of the incident. And then obviously with that second one, Banks in the incident. And then as the 21 tries to go in for the corner, looks like that car just did not turn and tried to slow it down at the last second. Couldn't do it, just slammed into that number 54. I believe luckily for both of them, they escaped without any significant damage, or at least for the moment. I think Brandon Banks might have fallen back to 13th, and I believe he did take it down pit road and did knock off the faster pair. So perhaps, Francisco, maybe some suspension damage after all, and Banks going to drop back to 13th right here, sitting behind Cody Kinsey in the 93.
Yeah, apologies there. It was unfortunate for Banks because it did look like with wall contact he was going to get that damage, but looks like Xander might have gotten really lucky there not getting suspension damage. But here we see Benson now pulling in a pit road. I think he'll also use his faster pair. He's taking fuel only, and he's going to be able to make it to the end of this race. Of course, he was down in the 7th position, I do believe, but way far behind the race leader. So at this point, he's trying to see what he can do to get a top 5. And here's his teammate now putting the pressure on the 31 of Cedric Hunter, seeing if he can take a 3rd position and then set his eyes on Joe Sanchez. As Joe Sanchez is about halfway between himself and the race leader, so there's a pretty good gap of clean air there for the 96 of Austin Reedy to try and take advantage of. He has not lost time to the race leader, but that's been a problem, of course. If you're trying to catch up to the race leader and contend for the win, you can't maintain. You have to actually close the gap. But unfortunately for Reedy, Peel's been very fast, and now that he's got the track position, it is very tough for him to do something. Though I will say, Joe Sanchez actually has not let his teammate get that far in front. He is within 2 seconds still. So if anything goes on pit road, it could be advantage for Joe Sanchez. He's kept him in sight, which at least that keeps him honest. You know, it keeps Lawson Peel having to work because he knows that there's a car right there ready to pounce it.
And also what it does is allows Joe Sanchez to get back to the 12 on the long run. Remember Kyle Benson, how much of a lead he had pulled against his teammate Austin Reedy and everybody who had occupied second in that stretch. Adam Alashire in that move as well. As long as he was able to pull out of the way in the first run, it looked like he was fine, but then came that second half of the run where things started to come differently, and it looks like Sanchez is actually going to come in for pit road. So it looked like as he was closing in on your race leader, Lawson Peel, at 55, as Sanchez come in for what's going to be his final stop here from Watkins Glen. It looks to be the only driver in the top 3 to do so. Cedric Hunter, Austin Reedy, they're going to stay out. Looks like Steven Stempien. We'll see if he joins. Answer is no. So Sanchez on a lonesome call here for pit road, much like Benson did the lap before.
And we know you don't have to take a full tank of fuel because there's not that many laps to go. You could probably go close to half remaining because you probably have some fuel left. So we'll see how many seconds that is, and we'll see how many people pit road. The gap was about 1.5 seconds. So we'll see what it is once Peel decides to come down pit road. We'll see. He'll probably try and match him because he has that big lead over third place. He's really only racing his teammate right now. As you see, the 96 of Austin Reedy has gotten past Cedric Hunter and moved him now up to the second place position right now as he's sideways off that corner. What a save. But it is going to be net P3 once everybody makes their stops. But he is cutting into the lead at the moment. He is about seconds back.
So it's roughly 8.3 seconds, maybe 8.5, give or take here, and we'll see again. Second and third going to stay out. Lawson Peel, of course, going to stay as well into the final 12 laps here from the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit. And, of course, with this race here from Watkins Glen, our first road course race of the season, we return to 1.5 mile racing back in 1 week time on December 21st. We'll go racing that Wednesday night from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, a track that this driver, Lawson Peel, has had a lot of success at, especially when it came to last season's edition of that race. Lawson Peel was able to take the win in dominating fashion near the end. We'll see if he can do it all over again, or can we get another different winner in this 2022-2023 season. You catch that again December 21st, 9:10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the MaxSpeedTV YouTube channel. And that's going to be a lot of fun, Francisco, because it's going to be our final race before the holiday break, which transitions into the new year when we go back road course racing at Road America, Las Vegas. A great track with these next-gen cars. We've seen a lot of great races put up with the combo specifically, and with this field as competitive as I think we've ever seen it in series history. And with Lawson Peel looking to go 2 in a row at Las Vegas, it's going to make it more fun.
Yeah, Las Vegas has always been a good track in this series and in leagues overall. Can you believe it, Kenneth? We're already in our third end of the year run here with KBRN. Of course, KBRN MaxSpeedTV in this case, but you and I have been commentating together since 20. So this is our third time broadcasting in the end of the year, and you and I always tend to have fun at the end of the year. Our first time around, it was with A&B Outdoors Quick Time. The last 2 times has been with this 4-wide racing series, and end of the year always seems to be fun. These guys are able to bring the spirit. We have the holiday spirit among us. A little bit sick, but you know, I'm still carrying tough and hoping to have a really nice end to the year. It's been fun covering these races all year long, all of 2022. We've seen a lot of great moments, a lot of fantastic finishes, a lot of good moments between guys that have been able to go on and have successful races, successful seasons in seasons 3 and season 4 and now season 5, of course. So it's going to be really nice to see how 2023 goes, Kenneth. And, you know, you mentioned Las Vegas, as I said earlier. It's going to be a fun race. You and I have our own little race there. The World Cup Championship game, which is going to be played this Sunday. It is going to be Argentina versus France, which is going to be a really intense matchup. Of course, Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi going against one another in what is probably Messi's last World Cup game.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And I was going to refrain from talking about the World Cup just because we've got this race from Watkins Glen on hand, as there's Lawson Peel on a pit road. It looks like Eric Schaefer, a couple of car lengths ahead of him, had some significant damage, might have been involved in a crash, and Schaefer would fall in one lap down a while back in this race. Has dropped 21 laps down and counting. He's 26, and among some of the DNFs tonight, we also did not mention Colin Forster in the 99, parked it 16 laps to go. So that's going to be some lost points for Forster. Luckily for him, saving grace is he's got the ticket to the playoffs with that win at the Daytona International Speedway to kick off our Season 5 schedule. So yeah, I mean, that World Cup game is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously with Messi, you know, everybody wanted Argentina versus Portugal just because Messi, Ronaldo, the two debated GOATs in the soccer world, in their final World Cups probably at their ages of 37 and 35. Being able to face off each other and at least have one of them have a World Cup, and that would probably be the decider on who's going to be officially the GOAT. I think that's going to still be the case, that Lionel Messi is on one side of the fight, but you've got a very young and fast Kylian Mbappe, like you said, and that entire French team going for 2 in a row in the World Cup. So that's going to be huge for them if the French can get it done, or if the Argentinians can be able to overcome all that and overcome the defeat from 2014 and be able to get that title in 2022. But back to the action out on track, heading for the final 9 laps here from Watkins Glen. And guess who's back in the lead? Austin Riddy, Lawson Peel, Joe Sanchez, with them coming down for service. That has brought the 96 back to the point. Question is, does he need to pit too?
Yeah, everybody's going to have to come down pit road here, Kenneth. We saw Reedy pit there on 1 to green, but it's just too many laps without having a pit stop made. We saw him go, I think most guys probably went as far as 23. He's probably going to have to save about 2 or 3 laps to stand a chance, but you're so throttled that it's going to be very difficult to do so. And it depends on the gap, right? If he's playing for the win or playing for a better result, I think at this point he's probably committed to trying to go for it. So if you look at him here, you have to find Lawson Peel, who's not too far back. You have to remember that Greedy was only about 8 or so seconds behind, but since it's fuel-only pit stops, they're rather quick. So there you see Reedy. He's crossing the start-finish line now. There's Stempian, and there's Lawson Peel. So right now, Reedy's racing that car right there. So he has about, I would say that's about a 23-second lead, as it would say on the guessing 20. So close enough. He's got 8 laps. You can back it up. You do not have to win by this margin. You can back it all the way back up to Lawson Peel and have enough fuel to make it, Kenneth. And, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm realizing what we're talking. We're talking about fuel mileage at a road course with Austin Reedy and Lawson Peel once again.
Again, it all comes back full circle. Remember who was the victor and all that? Austin Reedy, and that was off of a mistake from Lawson Peel at turn 20, Circuit of the Americas last season. Does that change, and do we see these two back on track? The only thing is there's some traffic and there's more of a buffer between first and fourth, Reedy and Peel, where they stand right now. Cedric Hunter, the rookie driver, still looking for his first win and trying to get some redemption after what was absolute heartbreak at Nashville Super Speedway 2 weeks ago. He's now second. Steven Stempien looking for 2 in a row after Nashville Super Speedway. He's in third. So while we are going to talk about Lawson Peel and Austin Riddy in our bigger picture for the win, we do need to understand that Hunter and Stempien are still in this fight, and they may be the dark horses if the 96 or the 12 are not able to get to victory lane inside the final 7 or so laps. And now we just watch. We wait, Francisco, for the 96 of Austin to officially come down pit road, make that call. And looking at Lawson Peel's timesheet for the last time he came in, it was a 7.5 second stop. Reedy's last stop was 4.4 seconds. Is it going to be the same for Reedy? Is it going to be the same 7.5 seconds we saw from Peel? Is it going to be faster? Is it going to be slower? Are we going to see more mistakes? That may be floating in that mind of the 96. For right now, though, he understands. He's got full control of the race lead by 24 seconds and counting.
Yeah, he's got 2 seconds on Cedric Hunter, but he does have to Peel, and that's another thing I was going to... The gap's not closing between himself and Lawson Peel, so even though Peel has pitted and has the fuel to make it, and Reedy is still questionable, is he even saving? I mentioned it was about 23 or 24 laps that some of the guys were able to longest. And oh, there he goes. He's going to bring it down pit road. So he doesn't have enough fuel. So scratch what I was going to say. He's going to bring it down pit road. But that does put the 31 in the race lead. So Cedric Hunter takes the lead of this race with 7 laps to go. And I believe Steven Stempien's going to stay out as well. So move him to.
And Stempien's going to stay out. And these drivers on what is, for the moment, 21 laps on their stint for both Hunter and Stempien respectively. We should see them also come in. Maybe they'll stay out or save enough fuel to make it all the way to the end, but it has not looked like any saving efforts are made from either two of these drivers. They're still running all together. It looks like Lawson Peel going to get the best of Austin Reedy, who comes out with a 5.8 second stop. Sanchez takes away fourth, so Austin Reedy back to work here coming out into turn 2.
Unfortunately for Reedy, time's not on his side. He might be able to pass Joe Sanchez, been that fast, but I don't think he's going to be able to make up a second a lap, and with the traffic to be able to catch up to Lawson Peel. And we'll see. It's going to be very tough for these two to try and stretch it on fuel, but they're not even safe, so I don't think they're even considering that to be an option. And indeed, by that kind of line, you can tell he's going to come down pit road. Indeed, he will. So Cedric Hunter brings it down to the pit lane. He knows he can't make it, so fuel will be in his future, as Stempien will stay out another lap, so he'll take 5 laps from the lead. I don't know if he's saving or not. It doesn't look like he went about there pretty normal going into turn 1, and he's exiting with intent there. So I don't think he's saving either. But how far can he go? Remember, these guys all pitted on 1 to green, or coming to 1 to green, just before the race went back under the green flag. So how much fuel do they truly have to go? That was a lap 30. You mentioned it was about 20 or 21 laps that they had gone on fuel up to that last point. So we'll see just truly what they're able to do. Cedric Hunter now exiting pit road. He is ahead of Alishon and in the 5th spot, so he does keep a top 5 position, but it doesn't look like he's going to be in contention for the win right now, because it looks like Lawson Peel's in the catbird seat.
And distance way too strong here for Hunter to overcome, and it looks like it may be the same for Stempien, who we are expecting to come down pit road as we cross the line. At least we are going to, for 4 laps to go here from Watkins, Glen, New York. We'll watch if Stempien comes into pit road out of turn 7. Answer is yes. So the 8 car in this time by, and that should hand the lead over to Lawson Peel. It's going to take him a little bit to get past turn 7 and get around your current race leader, but Lawson Peel will have at least a 3.5 second gap above his teammate from Drinkin' Bros Racing, Joe Sanchez in the 55, who may be hounded by Austin Reedy for second before this race is all said and done. But into the final 4 laps from Watkins Glen, Lawson Peel back to the race lead.
And look, he's got lap traffic. I know that most of the traffic's been able to work their way out of the waves of the leader, but that could play a role. It could cost them just a little bit there, and that wasn't in front of him now that got lapped, Tyler Murray. So the gap is closer to about 3 seconds, but if you can't get past Joe Sanchez, then it's all a moot point, because Joe Sanchez, being a teammate of your race leader, is probably going to try and defend a little bit, trying to see if he can help his team this win, or at least give him a better opportunity of doing so by just making sure that the 96 can't pass him, or maybe just not pass him as quickly as he possibly can.
This is a good shot off the rear end of 55 on how much defense he's having to play against this 96. And Reedy, of course, the faster car. We've seen it. It looks like for turn 6, Reedy will try the entrance on the braking zone. Reedy is there. He's knocking on the door. He's slamming through it. And Reedy to the inside for second. Sanchez going to fight back with a better line for turn 7. And Lawson Peel will catch 3 laps to go. And what this is going to do, Francisco, bleed off more time in that fight for P2. Peel going to be able to run away, heading back for turn 1.
We'll see if Sanchez challenges it. No, he doesn't. It looks like a lockup there in turn 1. I believe Clapper that went wide there. So as he now moves up to P2, the gap is now under 3 seconds. The question is, can he close in? I don't think he has that in him. It's just going to come down to time. Reedy has been faster than Peel in this second half of the race. You just think back to that mistake he made and how much it cost him, and this is a visual proof of just how much it cost him. He fought his way back in a second. It was very difficult for him to be able to win this race from that position. He almost did it. If he doesn't make that mistake, he could be sitting in a winning position right now, taking another win at a road course.
And there's a gap as well, 2.4 seconds, and it looks to maintain stable as that last time through. Peel was quite slower than Austin Reedy, but we'll see how much it somewhat evens out, or does it go to the benefit of either one of the drivers, as it looks like Peel will come out of turn 7. That's ahead of lap car Brandon Gillis, who may play a factor into Reedy's progression to the front. But the time is running out. Lawson Peel looking for his second win of Season 5. And what would add on to another one in his career of the 4-wide Racing Cup Series. Reedy trying all that he can. He's crunched it to 2.2, but does he have enough time? The answer might just be no.
Unfortunately, he's going to run out of time, and who knows? We've seen this happen before with these two. Who knows if Peel can keep it clean between now and the checkered flag? We've seen him make a mistake before that has cost him time. There you see now he's worked his way through the lap track. Nobody in between your top two right now, so we'll see just how much time can he make up and how much pressure it puts on your race leader. As you see through the bus stop, that's been the strongest point for that number 96. He's made a lot of time up through there all race long, but it might not be enough time left in this race to be able to make it worth something. See him sliding out the corners, still holding about 2 seconds behind. Hasn't really gained much on this particular lap. And as we go to the final two corners, Lawson Peel's going to take the white flag and start the final race, start the final lap of this race. And remember, Kenneth, he started last in this race with intention, felt confident that he didn't need to qualify to be able to get a good result, and he finds himself in the lead with 1 lap to go.
Austin Reedy will have one last trip around this Watkins Glen International Circuit to try and catch up to your race leader, Lawson Peel. But it looks like the time might not be on the 96's side for his first win of the season, and Lawson Peel looking to calmly move himself back to what will be his second checkered flag of the year, and will be another one to what's been a lot of these that happen at the ovals and of course the road courses as well. Peel to the final time in the bus stop, gap to 1.6 seconds, but there may not be enough time for the 96 to catch up. It's still maintained, and as they head through the carousel, Lawson Peel will look to relax himself through the final handful of corners and will grab another win to excel himself over all of the playoff competition. He started 24th in tonight's race, and it did not faze them. Weaved through the top 10, played the strategy correctly, and as he comes out of the final corner, turn 7, it'll be win number 2 in Season 5 for Lawson Peel. Checkered flag in the air, DBR to victory lane. Once more, Lawson Peel victorious from the Glen.
One of the more impressive drives by Lawson Peel, Kenneth, to start at the back and win the race on a road course. We talked about that before, how these tend to happen at road courses, but still, it just impresses you every time, especially in this league. When you think about the competition, how strong it is, and how much you have to feel for Austin Reedy. If he doesn't make that mistake under that caution, that late decision, hit the pit cone line, he might be the one celebrating a win here tonight, but not to be. Lawson Peel, win number 2 on the season.
Over the last season, it's been 9 wins in total for Lawson Peel. The 2 from this season, the 7 from last season's championship route, and the 12 goes to victory lane. You see Jesse Prees, the teammates, the 55. Joe Sanchez is a 54 of Brandon Banks, also to celebrate a big win for the team. And Joe Sanchez completing the top 3 as well. Another great finish for Sanchez as they wreck there heading for turn 1. That's Craig Lounslager, what looks to be AJ Green. But the number 12 of Lawson Peel goes back to victory lane, and once again caps off a remarkable race here from Watkins Glen, and one that we probably didn't expect at 12 to be as fast or as dominant, considering how Murray Reedy Motorsports kept pace with the race. But the 12 changes the tide and grabs win number 2 of the year. We'll take a look at your full unofficial results from the Glen. No server issues this time. Fortunately, we go green all the way to the end without any problems. Austin Reedy, not the race winner. This is actually unofficial results, but it is Lawson Peel to the race win. Austin Reedy just short of the win in P2, and Joe Sanchez to round out your top 3. It looks like the telemetry a little wonky here as we've crossed the start-finish line, so unfortunately not able to go through the official full list unofficially, but that is your top 3. We'll talk to them in just a couple of moments. The number 12 of Lawson Peel, in an unbelievable season that he's been able to put together, and why not? We'll chat with the driver who heads into victory lane once more in the season. And Lawson Peel, what an unbelievable job. It felt like since you started 24th in this race, you really had to work for each and every last position. What was it like to move up to the field, and how does it feel grabbing win number 2 in race number 4?
Yeah, it feels great. That was a long race. My foot is tired, feet are tired, and that was fun. Reedy was coming there. I think if that turn 1 deal wouldn't have happened on that restart, he probably would have been a little closer. Probably would have looked a little different there. So I'll take it. I'm happy with that.
Fantastic race all the way from start to finish. That halfway mark of the race obviously changed the tide for many. You had the mistakes by a lot of the leaders. You had the caution to bring everybody together. How important was that yellow at halfway, considering the fact that last season it was more of a server issue that forced drivers out and had the whole field reset? How big was this manufactured caution this time around from this track?
Yeah, I wouldn't have had a chance without it because I started in the back because I spun on my first lap and then I went off the track on my second lap. So neither one of my laps counted and I had to claw through there. And yeah, I wouldn't have had a chance without having that caution right there in the middle to kind of reset and, grid back up with everybody. I knew that since the caution laps didn't count, you couldn't make it in that last stage. So just stayed out there and luckily was ahead of that wreck and just came in, took about 7 gallons and kept going. But yeah, when Reedy came out there, he was a lot closer than I thought he was going to be. I figured he lost a little bit more time in that wreck than it looks like he did. Either that or he gained it all back on the track. So yeah, he was coming there.
2 wins over the last 3 races. Your first one this season at Michigan, your second this time at the road course, and we head into a track that favors you quite well. You were the winner last season at that track, and you go into as a winner this time from Watkins Glen and trying to go 2 in a row at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So how are you going to try to continue to carry this momentum on what's already a locked-in playoff route to the regular season going into the final races that we'll see and going into the new year?
Yeah, just try to be smart and just kind of take the same approach I take every week. I love Vegas. You can spread out and race 3 and 4 different lines there. You can race 3 wide pretty comfortably. You can be pushing on the straightaways and all that fun stuff. So looking forward to it. It's a great track and yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, can't wait to see you there in 1 week time before we take our 2022 holiday break. But Lawson, before we let you go on the checkered flag here from Watkins Glen, anybody you want to thank for tonight's performance?
Yeah, thanks for putting on the broadcast, Kenneth. Thank you to my teammates. Thank you to Tyler Murray for hosting us and doing everything that he does with the lead. Thanks to Paul's Setup Shop. And that's about it. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Well, happy holidays, Lawson. Of course, congratulations on the win here from Watkins Glen, your second of Season 5. We'll see you at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in 1 week time. Congratulations once more.
Thank you, man.
So that is Lawson Peel to come home in P number 2 in an outstanding effort after starting 24th on the grid. An unbelievable approach there, starting very deep in the field, having to work all the way through position-wise, and with the strategy, with that caution at halfway, still able to do all that he can, and he grabs his checkered flag. Of course, it doesn't necessarily quite reflect the finishing order there on the finished graphic there on the bottom of the screen. Of course, the telemetry a little messed up here after the checkered flag, but we do have time to talk with the driver who comes up just short and the driver who comes home in second. That is Austin Riddy, joined alongside by Francisco Bacallao.
Well, Austin, it came down to another road course thriller review and one of the things we noted in this broadcast was that mistake you made on pit road. What happened?
Just a late decision to go down pit road and top off, and the sign pops up so late of what speed needed to be at, and I was just kind of distracted by if people are pitting behind me or not, and ended up speeding there. So we got a costly penalty there halfway through the race.
Yeah, it definitely ended up showing up as you were just a couple seconds behind the race winner, and it looked pretty evident to us anyway that had that mistake not happened, you probably could have been in victory lane. Does that kind of like sting after the race, knowing that you were so close, even with it, that if you hadn't had it, you would have had it?
Yeah, it definitely sucks. I mean, we came from so far back just to be within a second and a half of loss in there. But mistake-free races win races, and when you make mistakes, you don't win a race. So got to clean that up for these next coming races, and just be more aware and take our time a little bit more.
It's still been a solid start to the season by you. We move on to Las Vegas. It's the last race also for calendar year 2022. You want to try and do there, besides obviously winning the race, but is forward to taking away from Las Vegas that you'll use for the rest of the season?
Hopefully at Vegas, that'll be a good track for us. Really good at the mile and a half and those high temp tracks like that. Try to get a good finish there again. I mean, we keep getting second. It feels like I think we got second in Michigan, right behind Lawson. We got second again tonight, and just try to put together a race again. Just minimize mistakes is the biggest problem. we would have probably had this race won by a far length tonight if we didn't speed. But it is what it is, and we got to move on, and we got to focus on the rest of the season, getting playoff points, and get a win or two so we can lock ourselves in the playoffs.
Of course, you'll have another road course opportunity in just a couple of weeks once we get the new year at Road America. But Austin, you had a great run tonight. You and the teammates looked very fast. We'll give you the opportunity to give the shout outs to everybody to help make that possible.
Tyler Murray for all the time he puts in for making these sessions and running this league, getting everything set up, and then TJ's team and Team Designs for the paint and the great foundation.
We appreciate taking the time with us, Austin. We wish you would have had that. You'll have some more opportunities. You looked fast. We wish you luck going into Las Vegas.
All right, see you, boys.
So that's Austin reading the 96, just short of the race win, but we know the consistency is there and going into Las Vegas, and surely going to use some of that momentum to try and get his first win of the calendar year. We'll talk to the driver who ends up in P3, the last drivers in our podium finishers here tonight from Watkins Glen International. That is the number 55 of Joe Sanchez, completing a 1-3 DBR shootout here in the final handful of laps as he leads 5 laps en route to this top 3. Joe, of course, you had a lot of speed, very clean car, very quick car, but did the strategy go your way, or how did you figure strategy was going to work coming to the end of that race, especially in the waning laps?
Definitely was happy with the strategy Lawson and I were discussing when what to do there, and staying out ultimately prevailed there, especially with the stack up on turn 1. But those guys, Reedy and Lawson, were just way faster than me. I can hang with them for a couple of laps, but then they just start to pull away as the fuel burnt off, and their cars got a little bit quicker. But I'll take a 3rd place finish any day, and to be within I think it was a little over 3 seconds of Lawson. I'll take that as a win on a road course any day.
Of course, still a lot of pace, though, behind this number 55, and I know this race from last season, very, very wild in comparison. We had that caution at midway just because of the server issues. This time, it's no problems whatsoever, just a manufactured caution at halfway. Was there any way that you and Lawson and all your DBR teammates were trying to figure yourselves away or around that caution, just because last season it really wasn't there and it wasn't expected, but this time around it was?
Yeah, so that's really ultimately what caused us the strategy. We knew that since caution laps didn't count, we wouldn't be able to make it in the final stage on a full tank of fuel. So we knew everyone was going to have to pit at least once in that final stage. So ultimately that track position was huge because it was so difficult here to pass. Just got really, really tight behind someone through these high speed corners. So just being out in front really made your car a lot faster.
We're able to cap this night off on a P3 finish, and now we head into the final race of 2022 before we head into the new year, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Any motivations or expectations for that track to try to get your first win of the campaign?
It's going to be a fast track. Depending on how hot the track temp is, it's going to be really, really slick. But there's a lot of grooves to run around on that track, so it's a lot of fun. These cars are definitely a handful on 1.5 miles. But they really keep you on the edge of your seat as far as the grip level and the speed you have to do to stay up front.
Well, certainly this P3 finish going to give you a lot of momentum heading into the desert at Las Vegas 1 week from tonight. But Joe, before we let you go on the podium finish from Watkins Glen, anybody else you want to thank for tonight's performance?
Thank Tyler and all the admins for putting this awesome league on every single week. You for putting on a fantastic broadcast every week as well, and then the entire DBR crew, and then our team sponsor, Paul's Setup Shop.
Well, we certainly appreciate the kind words, Joe. On behalf of our team here at MaxSpeedTV, congratulations on P3 from the Glen. Looking forward to seeing you and the team heading to Las Vegas in 1 week time.
Thanks.
So that is Joe Sanchez in the 55, the final driver to wrap up our podium finishers here from our first road course race of Season 5 of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series. Francisco, our time to reflect on our final thoughts. Obviously not an intense side-by-side, neck-and-neck battle to the start-finish line, but we did see a lot of strategy come into the mix as well. Obviously, the importance of that caution at halfway helped shape a lot of the strategies. We did see some drama, pit road speeding penalties, some crashes in the mix as well, some chaos, but ultimately Lawson Peel back to victory lane. And we thought that after win number 1 at Michigan this season, that probably he could take it easy as a defending champion, not have to worry about the rest of the regular season. But it looks like he is still 150% foot to the floor, and grabbing this win easily amplifies that statement.
And why not, right? I mean, you're in the playoffs. You're out here racing. You may as well just go for the win. Broke. That's really what he's doing. Just trying to rack up playoff points to make sure that he can give himself a good cushion come playoff time. Just keep getting wins, keep getting opportunities to take checkered flags with him, carry that momentum to the playoffs, and let the work really start once we get there. But he has a long way to go. We have several races. There's no reason why he can't repeat last season's performance. He's already off to a good start. He's got 2 wins. He's got 1 oval win and first win. So really good start if you're Lawson Field. There's no reason why at Vegas he can't get a win, and there's no reason why when we at Road America that he can't get a win. So Lawson Field's still going to be one to be reckoned with. He's definitely going to be the favorite. At least early on, he looks like he's the favorite as the defending champion, of course, but already with 2 wins. So I think next week at Las Vegas, we might see Austin Reedy definitely try some payback in the sense of just trying to get back into this one, try and see if he can capitalize on the mistake he made today and kind of take it with him and see if he can make up for it with a win at Vegas. He came close last season, I believe, as well, so it would kind of serve as a double good sentence there. Just had a bad time last time out at Vegas and a bad time here today. Just came up short. We'll see if he can do it. So I think Vegas is going to be a good one, Kenneth, and it's going to be our last one for the year, so I'm really looking forward to it.
3 options on what's going to happen possibly by the time we get to Las Vegas in 1 week time. 1, we rewrite history and we have a new winner in Austin Reedy, maybe able to take away the reins here, grab his first win in season 5. Number 2, we remain with the same history if Lawson Peel can go 2 in a row after this win from Watkins Glen and take it away at Las Vegas the same way he did last season. Or number 3, we get a brand new, entirely different winner to add their name into the playoff list for season 5. It's only going to add to the excitement that we're building at the end of 2022. Again, like I said, last race of this 2022 year before we head into the new one at Road America on January 11th, 2023. So that will do it for our broadcast here from the Watkins Glen International Circuit and win number 2 of season 5 for Lawson Peel in the 12 machine. So for Tyler Murray and everyone in the admin team and race council at the 4 Wide Racing League, and from all of us at MaxSpeedTV, and for my colleague in the booth tonight, Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long and good night from the Glen in upstate New York. Congratulations to Lawson Peel on another checkered flag in 2022. We'll see you 1 week from tonight from Sin City, Las Vegas.